Welcome and welcome back to my channel, Makeupby Beauty. If you are new to my channel, my name is Juliana, and in today's video we're going to be talking about my fall palette for 2024. It's been a long time I've spoken about my eyeshadow collection because I haven't been filming, but I couldn't let fall go by. And besides, these are the palettes I've been using. I've kind of brought them out from the end of August. So this is real life. These are the palettes. Some of them are already in my rotation and some of them will be coming out in October. And I'll keep on rotating, and yeah, so I just wanted to share them with you. So what I've done is I've picked the palette per brand because it's very difficult for me to kind of like restrict myself when it comes to this kind of video, and I don't want to take too much time. So I've kind of picked one palette per brand, but for some brands I just can't narrow it down to one, or the color story is not enough for me to make a look with. Now, if you are used to my channel, if you are used to watching my channel and my videos, then you know that I mostly use 2-3 palettes for a look. I rarely ever use one eyeshadow palette for one look, and yeah, so for some it's difficult to pick one. For some brands it's okay, I can go with one, but anyway, that's how I've structured today's collection. So let's start with the eyeshadow palette on my eyes. So these are from Danessa Myricks. I have used the Groundwork, the Blooming Romance palette, as well as the Lightwork palette in volume 6, the Freedom palette. So these are the two combinations on my eyes today. Alright, let me show you the inside of the Groundwork first. This is what the palette looked like. This is the Blooming Romance palette. I used it in combination with the, like I said, the Freedom palette. This is a perfect fall palette. This is beautiful because you can easily just flick through one shade or the other and to get your perfect fall kind of eyeshadow look. I mean, like this one, I've got like your orangey brown terracotta kind of look, and this is like green and purple, which are perfect autumn fall colors. Yeah, so those two palettes, yeah, perfect fall palettes. Alright, moving on to the ones where I can actually use a whole palette for my whole look. Yeah, so starting with Juvia's Place. So from Juvia's Place is the Afro Galactic palette. This palette is gorgeous. I've been unable to put it down. Sometimes I use it with other palettes and sometimes I use it on its own, and this is perfect. I'm not a neutral. If you've been on my channel for, I don't like just neutral looks. I like to have options when I'm doing my eyes. I might do a neutral look, but it's always with a pop of color or with some sort of mix of colors. So this one is perfect. I mean, look at that shade. I love that shade, especially these two. I love to use these two together. But as you can see, you can do quite a few looks with this palette on its own without mixing it with something else. And the one thing I also love about the Afro Galactic palette is the multi-chrome in it. Oh, these are beautiful. Honestly, multi-chromes in this palette are really beautiful. Now, I don't want to start swatching because before you know it, we're here for an hour, which I'm trying to avoid, but I will swatch like exceptional shades. Okay, from Fine Beauty is there, I don't even know what this palette is called. It's just called what, palette for eye and face. So this palette is that Fine Beauty is the brand by P. Louise Brother. P. Louise Brother has a brand now and it's called Fine. So this palette actually come in 3 types. So you have your light, medium, then dark. This is the dark version of it. So it's supposed to be like a similar color story, not exactly. I do have the medium, which I don't have here now, and I won't consider that a real fall palette, but this is the dark, and this I consider a fall autumn palette. This palette is beautiful. I was not expecting it. I bought it based on the color story, but using it all my days, even without eyeshadow primer. And I'm going to swatch just both matte and shimmers for you so that you can see the quality of this palette. This palette is beautiful, really beautiful. If you find it on sales, grab one for yourself. So this is matte, this is another matte, and then the shimmers. These are gorgeous. The times I've used it or I've brought it out in my rotation is very hard, to kind of stop, put it down and, use it for one day and pick up another one. It is honestly the quality I was not expecting and I was not ready for it. Yeah, this is an absolutely beautiful fall palette. So I'm so happy to be bringing it out again for this fall. Alright, from Glam Light, which is actually a surprise to me because I thought I would struggle to pick out a fall palette, but when I looked at my collection, it seems like I have more colorful palette from Glam Light. But I was able to find the Bperfect fall palette when I looked at all of the palettes, and this is the Garfield palette, which is quite a surprise to me because, I mean, on top of my head, without laying them all down, I thought I had like 4 palettes or 4 color story, but this is the, I want to say this is the one that spoke to me most when it comes to fall this year. I don't know about last year, whatever, but like I said to you, this is real life. These are the palettes I will be pulling out and using if I'm not already using them. So this is the one that spoke to me the most, and it is absolutely beautiful. This shade here, I cannot wait to put that on my eyes. And the shimmers in this palette, especially this two here, absolutely beautiful on my. I cannot wait to combine these on my eyes. Yeah. Alright, from Cosmic Beauty is the Nude Trials palette. I think possibly if they had not brought this out, I don't know which one I would have picked for fall. Possibly the Muse palette. But now that they have this, yeah, this one is perfect. So I love the combinations of the browns, of the purples. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And the shimmers in this palette as well, they are just gorgeous. Yeah, so this is a very gorgeous and beautiful one. Neutrals from Cosmic Beauty. From Kaima Cosmetic over here in UK is the Skull and Roses palette. This palette, oh my days, honestly, it's been very difficult to put this down. There are certain palettes that I come across that you just want to keep on using them, and this is one of them. I don't know if you can see the dent and the usage in this palette. This palette I use on the go. This tells you again, trying to buttress what I'm talking about. This is beautiful. I don't use shimmer primer, I don't use eyeshadow primer, nothing. I just use the matte as they are and I apply the shimmers as they are. And the shimmers in this palette, they are so beautiful. You spend 2 eyes on a look and it looks like you've spent 10 minutes. I'm just going to swatch 2 or 3 shimmers from here. Alright, these are 4 of the shimmers. Just look at that. Look how beautiful that is. And the fact that they don't need any glue primer. Oh. Look at that. That is beautiful and gorgeous. So just imagine this on a Monday to Friday, you know, to be able to apply, you know, one of these mattes here. Usually I go for the red, so I could go for the light red and darken with that, or go for that and darken with that. You know, that's how I've been doing my looks. Or if I really want to be brave, right on the edge, I will use the black. But most times I don't use it because, I mean, I'm using it on the go. I mainly just go for the nice, easy to use matte. But the shimmers, yeah, I don't hold myself back when it comes to the shimmers. They are so beautiful and gorgeous. Yeah, this palette, if you get your hands on it, I definitely recommend. This is a perfect fall palette. Alright, another easy one to pick was from Melt Cosmetics, and it's the Gemini 2 palette. This palette again is a beautiful palette. Now I don't know about the one, I don't have the one, but for the 2, it's just a perfect combination of your urban tones, your green and your orange to blend out. It is just beautiful. From Attitude Cosmetics is the Man Eater palette. I have 2 palettes from them, and one of them actually is my kind of shade, which is like the reddish one. I can't remember what the name is now, but this one for me is a perfect fall palette, and I absolutely love this palette. I have a video on my channel using this palette. Gorgeous. I'm not going to swatch because I did all the swatches in that palette, but this is beautiful. Alright, from Blend Bunny, my choice was Machina palette. So for me, Machina, yeah, Machina comes, it wins of all my palette from Blend Bunny. This one speaks to me the most when it comes to fall. This is beautiful and gorgeous, because for me, just because it's fall doesn't mean I cannot use red, or I cannot use pink, or I cannot use, you know, like a bright color, or even pastel, or whatever it is. This is like a perfect combination of everything. So your colorful, your greenish kind of fall look, and then your neutral colors, even cool tone colors, or for pop of colors, or whatever it is that you want to do. This is just complete. When I look at all of my Blend Bunny palette, for me this is the perfect fall palette out of them all. Alright, up next is Adept Cosmetics, and yeah, I could not narrow it down to one with Adept, so I picked 2. So this is the So the Flying Fiddles palette, and then the Sumerian Sunset palette. These two palettes, the combination of these two, absolutely beautiful. Now the Sumerian palette on its own, perfect for palette. And then when you look at the Flying Fiddles, to me it's just too dull. Yes, it's a nice beautiful autumn palette, but it's dull. But when you look at the two together, for me it just speaks volumes. Yeah, the two are just perfect. So perfect. I don't know if you can see this clearly. So your pinkish autumn greenish tone. Now the shimmers in this palette, even though they look orangey, they've got like green tones, different kind of green tones. This palette is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So this, you know, on its own is fine, but when you combine it with, especially with the mattes in this palette, the mattes in this palette are beautiful. Let me just bring that closer, as you can see. So this is not solely too urban, it's urban kind of mixed with black, and then you have your brown, and with the shimmers you have like your nature kind of greens, your nature kind of green tones. So they are more hearty, if you like, yeah, in terms of tones. Whereas the green in this are kind of like on the bright side, so which kind of, for me, the combination of the two, it's just perfect. So perfect. That is shimmers in the Sumerian Sunset palette, and for me this palette is possibly the palette with the best mattes as far as my palettes for my depths are concerned. So look at this. It's beautiful. Yeah, the kind of colors in this palette are the kind of colors I gravitate to naturally. So your greens, your browns, your oranges, they are my best color and favorite color. I love red, green, orange, browns, and this is just a perfect mixture of them. Alright, from Bperfect Cosmetic is going to be this palette. It's called Compass of Creativity. So it's like a 4 different color stories, but in one, because they are magnetic, so you kind of like put them together. Now normally, if you've seen some of my 4 videos, I would usually pick the one of the other palettes. I can't remember what the name is now. I'll put it on the screen, but that's what Dream Big palette, that's it. That's the one I usually use, you know, for autumns. In fact, that palette I use it any season. I just like it. I like the Dream Big palette. But for this fall, I've decided to kind of like swap it out and use this, especially because it's got 4 different tones, and I'm going to show you one by one. So this is the East Emerald, and it's like a green color story. I mean, look at this. What speaks fall more than this? This is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show you all together so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the Nut Nudes, and this is like your browns, and I mean, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And then South Smolders, so it's like your pinks and variation of purple kind of, but pink but tending towards purple, like in between pink and purple, yeah. And then finally your West Waters, which is your typical purple mixed with blue. I mean, look at that. I don't know if I can put all the 4 together, but I'm gonna try. But yeah, this is the blue and the pink, and then look at that. That actually glues together. Alright, and this is the 4 together. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So beautiful. And the fact that they glue together, they are magnetic, and they kind of like, when you put them together, they stand as one. You can use them, you know, all at once together without having to like stretch or whatever, because it's all glued together. So I just glue them together, open them up, and use whatever color I want from each of the 4 palettes. Alright, the one I picked from Stay Ready Cosmetic is the Stay Safe palette, and this is a perfect for palette. Again, this palette I can use on its own because of the mixture it's got. So you've got like your burgundy tones, which I love, which combined with your green. You've got different shades of green, and then it has orange. So for me, this is actually a complete fall autumn palette, yeah, that I can definitely use without reaching for another one. This is a beautiful palette. So this is the Stay Safe palette from Stay Ready Cosmetics. Another single palette, this is Wild Side from Bolive Beauty. Yeah, these are not very popular brands, you know, when it comes to Instagram or YouTube, but for TikToks, these are really popular brands, and they've got beautiful palettes. So this again is from Bolive Beauty, and the inside of this palette, oh my, is the palette. Now, if you've been on this channel, you know how many palettes I have, you know my collection, and you also know that I love colorful looks. Now, for me to eat pan on browns, or nudes, neutral. That tells you something. The tones of this browns here, oh my days, they are absolutely beautiful. Especially this one. This is my favorite one. When I only have time to use one matte, these are the kind of palette I reach for, and this is the shade I will use. If it's just one matte and I have to use shimmers, and I can use any kind of shimmer and it transforms that look. This palette is beautiful. I don't even know how to say it. I have a nude palette from them which is equally beautiful, but this is my choice. This is gorgeous. And if you think about it, you have a neutral on the top and then you're colorful on the top, so it is perfect. So I use maybe orange and browns on top or whatever, and use a pop of green, blue, purple on my lower lid. This is beautiful, and you can see the indents. You can see, yeah, I'm nearly eating pan on this. This is absolutely beautiful. It's that good that I've got them back up. As of today, I'm not sure if they ship to UK, but I know they mostly they only sell within US. So for me, when I've seen relatives coming, that's how I've got the palette the first time, and then the second palette when another relative was coming, I got the backup. Whenever they do sales, I never buy anything on full price, if you know me on this channel. But if there's a sale, yes. So I do have a backup of this palette. That's how much I love it. This is perfect autumn palette. This is one palette that if somebody says do your eye look without a shimmer, this is the palette I will pick up. This I can do a full eye look without using a shimmer. Yeah, that's how good and that's how much I love this palette. Alright, two new to me brands, and definitely new on this channel. Yeah, one of them is Ensley Rain, or however they call it, Ensley Rain. Yeah, this is new to me. Yeah, but this is not my first palette from them. I actually bought the Flourish when they came out with the Flourish and something, the cool tone and the colorful one. Now I went for the colorful one and I bought it from Monolith in EU. I bought the colorful one just to kind of try their formula, because I've had my eye on them for a long time, but their palettes are just too expensive. It's ridiculous, so I could never buy them full price. And sometimes even when they're on sales, by the time you get there, it's also sold out. I don't have time to be chasing any brand or chasing any palette. So when I found that it was on Monolith, and luckily it was one of the palettes they actually have on sale, and it's the palette I've had my eye on for ages. I was too happy. I didn't even think about it. Quickly put it in my cart and checked out. Yeah, so this is one of the palettes I've had my eyes on for a long time, and if you know me, when you see the inside, you will understand. Yeah, this is their Cosmic Dreamer palette. Just look at this palette. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now I've not used this palette because I usually like to take a picture of my palettes before I use them, and I've just not had time. There's been quite a few that I'm rotating my palette, so I've had quite a few that are on rotation that I'm using at the moment, and I've not had time to dig into this. Most likely this will be one of my October rotation if I don't start using it by the end of September, but certainly in October. But this is the palette. Look how beautiful and gorgeous this palette is. I can't swatch it for you right now because I haven't, like I said, I haven't taken the picture, but it is absolutely beautiful. If you have to buy one palette from them, I feel like this kind of justifies, you know, the price, not the full price if it's on sales, because I've seen the other ones that they have, and to me they're just not unique, whereas this one is unique. If you look at the color story, it's like they are matching. So you've got like your pinkish, your orange, salmon, your certain tone of green, and then you've got this one deep green, and then you've got your blues and purple. This is perfect. Yeah, Cosmic Dreamer palette from Ensley Rain. And then the second new to me is from Bella Beauty, however way you call them, Bella Beauty palette, and this is the Bejeweled palette. Now I love jewel tones. I love jewel tones. This is why I love Plain Bunny's Prima palette so much, but it's been discontinued, and at the time they were being discontinued, I did consider buying a backup, but I couldn't justify it. And by then I had not even hit pan on any of the palette. Now I've hit pan on a lot of the shades, but this one to me seems like the perfect replacement, you know, of the shimmer shades in Prima palette. So I love this. This is another one that I've had my eyes on for such a long time. So eventually when I found it on sales, yeah, I picked it up. I picked it up definitely because it's gonna, I mean, you can see most of the shimmers here are what are in Prima palette. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well. And it's a beautiful autumn fall color story. Yeah, looking forward to this one. Alright, from Beauty Bay, yeah, I had a bit of a difficulty picking a Beauty Bay palette to put in my autumn rotation because they are just so beautiful, and there's quite a few of their palettes that are just autumn ready, autumn beautiful. You know, for example, like the Wilderness palette. In the past I've pulled it out as one of my autumn palettes that I've used, but I don't know, this is new to my collection, but this is existing, and to me the combination just seems perfect to pull out this autumn. And I'll start with this one is a Dark Fantasy palette, and this is the inside. So again, this is perfect. It's got some bright colors, like, you know, I am not limited to whatever, as long as the main color story is still fall autumn like, then I'm going for it. So this is a perfect and beautiful fall palette. But this one, the Rich palette, look at that. This is like a burgundy dream palette. It is absolutely gorgeous. This shade here is my favorite shade, honestly. I love any variation of red. I absolutely love, and this is beautiful. If you look at the combination, look at that. Look at that. Literally, this in the front and any of this in the outer corner, any of this in the front, this in the outer corner, you can do anything. Honestly, you can do anything. I love having choices like that. Yeah, so these are the two palettes I picked from Beauty Bay for my collection for fall. Okay, up next is Beauty, another one that I had so much difficulty trying to pick a palette, and I just couldn't pick a palette. I'm finding that my choice, or maybe their color story, is just so perfect, and they tend to fit in most seasons as much as you like. I don't know how to explain it. Their color story are just perfect, as in each of the palette you can use on its own. You don't have to combine any of this Beauty palette with another palette unless you just want to. So for me, these are the three I picked out for fall. Starting with the Flare palette. If you've seen a few of my fall collections, I always pick this because I love it. I love it anytime, but I most especially love it for fall because it's just beautiful. Again, look at my burgundy tone is there with orange, and you know, with your pop of green is just perfect. And then when it comes to tropical vibes, I mean, what speaks on autumn fall as much as this palette? Absolutely beautiful. If you love your greens, you know, this is the perfect fall palette for you. And then let's take it to the ambience palette. I mean, like I've said already, I love orange. And then the tones, the combination of orange with the purples, with your green, with your, you know, burgundy in this palette, it just makes it so perfect for fall that I could not pick one. I had to include all the three. Yeah, so all three are going in my collection. So your ambience is going in the rotation, tropical vibes, as well as the Flare palette. Alright, we're nearly done. From Nimia is the one palette I know that she's come out with this. So this is Nikki Tutorials. Yeah, and this is the one palette she's come out with, and this palette is beautiful. And this is the color story. Again, a beautiful one for the fall. And I'm loving the fact that he also has some unusual colors like this one. I don't think I have this in any of my palettes, so I'm quite looking forward to using this one. I don't like right now. I see it as like a inner corner highlight. I don't know, you know, what it will feel like to use it on the lid, but right now I see it as a inner corner. But the whole color story, yeah, absolutely beautiful for fall. Alright, from Martin Cosmetics, because I mean, I rarely ever pull their palette out, and I thought I've got to include their palette for this fall, because I mean, otherwise, you know, that's the whole point of my rotation. I'm trying to use a lot of my palettes. So I've brought out two of their palettes. So this is the 669 Dreaded palette, and this is their Mission XXX palette. So these palettes in combination are perfect on its own. Yeah, especially the 669 palette. I mean, I don't know, this is the 669 palette. To me, it's just too dark. It's nice, it's beautiful, but I can't use it on its own. I have never used it on its own. It's quite difficult for me here. So this is the 669 palette, and this is the XXX palette. I mean, in combination, they are beautiful. So this is the two. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous together. I mean, lighter mattes here, lighter shimmers to use in combination with the darker mattes and darker shimmers here. Quite looking forward to using these two together. Now I have pictures on my Instagram where I've used the combination of this palette. I've actually, when I've used the 669 palette, I've used it with another summer palette. I mean, like I said, I could never use this on its own, so I had to use it with a different palette. I'm not sure if I have a video on my channel or I just have a picture on my Instagram. I can't remember. If I have a video, I will link it to this video. But on my Instagram, I certainly have used the combination of the 4 palettes I have from them to create beautiful looks. If I can put the picture up, I'll put the picture up of this. This is absolutely beautiful, but I just don't like it on its own. So yeah, I'm picking it up to use together. Another brand I had difficulty picking out, you know, just one palette from is Pillowies. Yeah, because she's got quite a few, you know, fall autumn like palettes. But for this autumn, I've picked out this palette. Yeah, this is the All I See Is Signs palette, which is like your orangey, a little bit of burgundy brownish shade with your gold, you know, for your highlights. Yeah, so this is the one I've picked. Just because I picked this one doesn't mean that I won't be using some other ones, because the one she brought out for Halloween, was it last year or year before the last year, I certainly will be using this one. Those ones are beautiful, but I kind of feel like those ones are not everyday friendly kind of palette, whereas this one is very much everyday friendly, and that's the reason why I kind of picked this one over the other ones. Alright, 2 more brands to go. So this is Pimbi Playing in Makeup by Yolondo. Again, I could not pick one palette because I do like variety when it comes to Playing in Makeup by Yolondo, especially because she doesn't have one particular palette that is perfect for me that I can say, oh, let me stick to this one palette for fall. I feel like I have to reach into another of her palettes. Now, if I had to pick one, I had to pick one, it would be this one, which is the Radiology Reds. But again, it's not very satisfying because it's limited. If you look at this, there is no shade to darken the outer corner, even though it's, for me, it speaks perfect fall. But I can't darken my outer corner with any of the shades here, so it makes it kind of useless. So I pick out the browns and nudes, which is a beautiful palette. Now this palette is neutral. It's neutral for me, but the tones of the neutral in this palette is just beautiful. Now I can use it on its own, but will I enjoy using it on its own? No. Will I love to combine it with some colors here? Absolutely yes. But again, even if I use these two, I most likely won't be, you know, I won't be satisfied, because again, if I wanted to use green, for example, there's no shades to darken my outer corner, so I will need to reach into another palette, and that's where the artistry unleashed come in. So this is a neutral palette, but with your pop of colors. So you've got like your black, dark green, dark purple, blue, another shade of purple here. It's just beautiful. So together with that, that is perfect. I could use these two together, and I could also use these two together. Yeah, so that's why I had to pick 3, you know, from Playing in Makeup by Yolondo, because one of them just wasn't satisfactory. Yeah, and then lastly is from Natasha Denona, another brand that I could not pick one palette, not because I couldn't do a full look with one palette, but because they're just too beautiful, and I'm not restricting myself to one for the fall. These 3 I've picked out, they are perfect. Any one of the 3, you're good to go. One of the ones I picked is the Zendo palette, and this is the inside of the Zendo palette. This is absolutely beautiful. Every time I've used this palette, I've loved it. The fact that you have variety, you could go neutral, you could go the greenish, you could combine it, and honestly, I absolutely love this palette, and it's one of the palettes I can use on the go as well. So I love that about it. It's so easy to use and convenient, no fallout, you know, it's just beautiful. And then you have the My Dream palette, which is, I love this palette. Last year I think I had the all burgundy one. I can't remember what the name is now. That's the one I picked for the fall, but I like the fact that this has a little bit of variety and it's not monochromatic. So this is got your black, your lighter shades, and this is just beautiful. So if any day that I feel burgundy story like, then I will go for this one. And then lastly, I picked the Yucca palette. Yeah, this palette, I can use it on its own, but I kind of feel like there are some shades that I really wouldn't even dip into. So it's like I'm limited to about 90% of the shades in this palette, and for me that's the one downside about this palette. But it is still a full palette, and which I always, when I use it, I don't really combine any other palette with it. In fact, any of the Natasha palette, I usually only carry one, and I use it on the go because it's so easy to use. So it wouldn't be a palette that I would dip into another palette unless I intentionally want to combine it with any other palette, or I'm doing a look, I'm filming, you know, a look with it, then I will use it with another palette. But on its own, on a Monday to Friday, it is perfect. I just pick one and I use. I mean, and it's so good to, you know, use, like I said, on the go. They do, because they don't give you fallout. Literally put my brush in 1 minute, I've blended one color, I've darkened the outer corner, I've used shimmers, and well, 2-3 minutes, my look is done. So yeah, that's another one I'll be using this for. These are the palettes I'll be using in the fall. Like I said, most of them are already being used because I mean the fall more or less for me started the end of August. Yeah, so I've been using most of them. But as for the ones I haven't used, they will be doing the one I'll be putting into rotation for you October and November, adding other palettes I have not showcased in this video. But yeah, these are mostly my focus palette for the autumn fall season. Okay, apologies for the long video. You know me and palettes. When it comes to palettes, my passion. So I don't know, it's my happy place. I can talk about palettes for days without, you know, getting tired. But anyway, this is the end of today's video. Let me know the 4 palettes you'll be using in this autumn. What will you be pulling out? Which are your favorite brands to use these days? Just, you know, share your opinion in the comment section. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video. You've enjoyed seeing my collection and just enjoy hanging out with me. If you have enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos. Like I said, I am much better now, and I will be bringing out more videos. So if you don't want to miss any of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. So until next time, I'll see you. Bye.